Hi. If you're an average chess player like me, then you know most games start with e4, e5, or sometimes d4, d5, and then you execute your plans from there. Most games are kind of predictable, and it can be hard to find an advantage, especially with black. Well, today, I've got a defense that takes you out of those predictable, boring openings and will often surprise your opponent, especially at the casual level. It's called the French defense, and it starts after white plays e4 with the move e6. Now, this move might look passive, but it's actually super ambitious. With e6, you're getting ready to do one simple thing. Play your pawn to d5 on the very next move. So after your opponent almost always plays d4 to grab the center, you're going to strike right back with d5. This is the starting position of the French defense. Take a look at the structure. Your d5 pawn is challenging white's e4 pawn. Your e6 pawn is supporting it, creating a solid little pawn chain. And that's really the whole idea in a nutshell. Instead of the chaotic, wide-open fight, you're creating a firm, strategic game. You're telling white, sure, you can have a little space, but I'm going to challenge your center and build a fortress that's tough to crack. This approach is fantastic for casual players because it shuts down a lot of your opponent's scary tactical ideas. For example, the f7 square, which would be a huge weakness in other openings, is much safer in the French. Your king is nice and secure, and the planes are logical and easy to follow. You don't need to memorize 20 moves of theory. You just need to get your handle on a few key ideas. After you've played e6 and d5, your opponent can go a few ways. One of the most common responses you'll see at the casual level, and the one we're going to build our system around, is when they push their pawn forward with e5. This is the advanced variation. When you see this move, don't sweat it. White is just trying to grab some space and cramp your style. That pawn on e5 is like a wedge, trying to restrict your pieces. Our plan is to immediately start pushing back. Your very next move, and the single most important move to remember in the system, is c5. Think of white's pawn chain on d4 and e5 as a wall. The pawn on d4 is the base of that wall. With the move c5, you're kicking at the base. If you can break down the d4 pawn, their whole center starts to fall apart. This one move c5 is your entire strategy. Your opponent is almost definitely going to defend their d4 pawn, and the most common way is c3. This just reinforces their center. That's fine. We're expecting that. We're just going to keep piling on the pressure. Our next move is knight c6. We're developing a knight to its best square. And what does it do? It adds another attacker to the d4 pawn. See the pattern? It's a simple, repeatable plan. Now, white will probably keep developing with a move like knight f3. It's a standard move that also adds another defender to d4. The tension is building. And now we make a key move that really defines our setup. Queen to b6. Look at the board. With this one move, your queen is doing three things at once. First, it adds a third attacker to the d4 pawn, putting white under serious pressure. Second, it eyeballs the b2 pawn, which can become a sneaky target later on. And third, it helps you control important squares on the queen side. This 5-move setup is the core of your entire system. Against the most popular responses to the French, you have a simple plan you can always remember. Attack d4 with c5, knight c6, and queen b6. All your next moves will just flow from that one idea. You'll bring your other knight out, move your bishop, and focus on the queen side, where you have all the targets. Now, if you've ever heard anything about the French defense, you've probably heard about the bad bishop, the light-squared bishop on c8, because we played e6 on move 1, it's now stuck behind our pawns. A lot of players worry about this piece, thinking it's a permanent problem, but dealing with it is just part of the strategy, and our plan is simple. Don't worry about it yet. In the early part of the game, it's doing a perfectly fine job defending your queen side. Later on, you'll have a few easy ways to bring it into the game. A common plan is to play b6, letting the bishop come out to b7, where it stares down the long diagonal. Another idea is to just play bishop to d7, and look for a good moment to trade it for one of white's more active pieces. Sometimes, after the center opens up, the bishop can just find its way out through d7 to e8, and then pop out on the king side. The bottom line is, yes, the bishop is passive for a bit, but it's not a weakness you need to solve on move 6. Focus on your main plan of attacking the center. The bishop will get its turn to join the party later. So what happens if your opponent doesn't push their pawn? What if after e4, e6, d4, and d5, they just capture your pawn with e takes d5? This is called the exchange variation. And when you see it, you can take a deep breath. This is good for us. After you recapture with e takes d5, you get a completely symmetrical position. Your opponent has voluntarily given up the advantage in the center. In these lines, theory considers the position to be roughly equal, which is a great result for black right out of the opening. There are very few tricks or traps to worry about here. Your plan in the exchange variation is about as simple as it gets. Just develop your pieces, bring your knights to f6 and c6, put your bishops on active squares like d6 or g4, castle your king, put your rooks on the open files, and you're just playing good, fundamental chess. In these positions, you've pretty much equalized on the spot. You don't have a bad piece. Even that bad bishop on c8 is now free to come out to f5 or g4. You don't need any special moves or complicated plans. Just follow the basic principles, and you'll get a comfortable, equal game. For a casual player, getting an easy equal position as black is a huge win. We've covered the advanced and the exchange variation, but what if white plays something else on move 3, like knight c3 or knight d2? These moves can lead to some of the most complex, theory-heavy lines in all of chess. We want to avoid that. So, we're going to use a simple, unified system. No matter if they play knight c3, knight d2, your response is always the same, knight f6. This one move is brilliant because it makes your life so much easier. You develop a piece and put more pressure on white's e4 pawn. Now watch what usually happens. One of the most likely things white will do next is push their pawn with e5. And what does that look like? It's the advanced variation all over again. You just tuck your knight back to d7 and then start your standard plan of attacking the center with c5. You're right back on familiar ground. And what if they trade on d5 instead? If they play e takes d5, you just recapture with ex d5, and you're in a version of the exchange variation. Again, you're in a position you understand, where you just develop your pieces and have a great game. By playing knight f6, you cleverly steer the game back toward the two main positions you already know how to play. You don't need to learn a bunch of new plans. You just apply the knowledge you already have. That's the beauty of this system. If you found this guide helpful, and you're finally starting to feel more comfortable against e4, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. Also, check out the video on your screen to continue on your journey to becoming a better chess player. I'll see you on the next one.